Instead, we have the opportunity to make a habit of empathy, to recognize ourselves in each other.
At the Oakland Peacekeepers meeting, there's been a lot of talk about justice, and I'm kind of curious. I'm trying to understand what is the relationship of justice and empathy. How does it relate?
That's a very excellent question, and I think that in the conversation, justice needs to be defined a little bit more. And I think that what we have been talking about is social justice. That in the collective unconsciousness and subconsciousness, there are things that have been set in place that disenfranchise people based on color. And if you are not conscious of it, then it doesn't exist for you. You don't realize it. And but we can look at those things systematically and strategically, and looking at them, we can then say that is unjust. Like the criminalization of poor people, the system itself, and I'll just give you an example of that. There's a weed and seed program that the city of Oakland has. It's federal money. And it says that when the police think that there's drugs selling anywhere in the neighborhood, they can go and sweep everybody off the streets and bring them in for questioning. That's called weed and seed. They have federal money to do that. So they sweep on a Friday night or a Saturday night certain locations. They roll up and everybody that's on the streets gets picked up. They take you downtown, you spend the weekend. Monday you go to the court. Well, they'll let you go because, you know, you were just getting your hair cut or buying diapers, but you get a fine. And if you don't pay that fine, then it goes to a warrant. And if you get stopped again, you're arrested for not paying the fine. That's the criminalization of the poor. Now, if people really understood that, and then once you're in the system, you're kind of locked in. Every time the police stop you, they look you up. Oh, there's a warrant out for your arrest, or you were part of the weed and seed, so you were suspected to be a drug dealer. Then their whole attitude towards you is one of criminalization, like you're a criminal. I'm going to treat you like one. And so that is part of the social justice framework of we have to stop criminalizing the poor. If you do not have money in this system, you can get caught up in the system and become part of the money making. They make money off of you. And so it's vast. It's very vast. One of the things that's very interesting looking at the social justice issues is that when we look at the prison systems, prisons are filled with a majority black and brown people. A lot of people that are black and brown are in prison because of marijuana. I mean, when I was in college, I met guys who got 10 years for 3 seeds in a matchbox. So now we're trying to legalize marijuana. So it's like the system, unbeknownst of itself, because in some way, decided that marijuana was illegal. So then they started to arrest people that are using it. And now we're at the place where they're saying, well, you know, maybe we should legalize it. So all of the people who've been criminalized because of it, that's all unjust, you see. So it's big, broad issues. And when people are in their empathetic heart, instead of judging, they begin to listen and think and then feel, wow, what if that had happened to me? My own nephew got 40 years for a pound of cocaine. Now, was he wrong to have a pound of cocaine? Absolutely, yes. And it wasn't until he came to that own conclusion that making money off of his own people was wrong, that I was able to raise the money to get him out. And it was so kind of magical that as soon as he came to that conclusion, the money appeared. And he's out now. He did 10 years of those 40 years. So he got empathetic his own self and realized that he wrote me a letter saying he owes society because he realizes what he was doing was wrong.
He took responsibility.
He took responsibility, yeah. And then he was able to be let out. So, but it was him beginning to realize that he had harmed the community, and become empathetic with himself. So
he became empathic for the society, and the society was empathic towards him.
Yes. But the point is, 40 years for a pound of cocaine, people get 10 years for murder. Measurely's probably going to get 4. That's injustice. That doesn't make sense. Does that make sense to you? 40 years for a pound of cocaine, and you kill someone, even if you were self-defense, that you would get 4 years. It just doesn't compute somehow.
Well, even the Supreme Court Justice Kennedy, I saw a speech of his, and he said that sentences are 8 times more severe here than they are in Europe.
Right.
8 times more severe.
And then crack cocaine is like 10 times more severe than powder. And it's who's using powder, who's using crack. It's a cultural issue. More white people use powder, more black people use crack. So those are discriminatory laws, and the social justice issue is like looking at those laws, becoming empathetic, and saying, let's be more equal. Why not?
It's worth a try.
It's worth a try. We're all in this together.
Well,
See the world through other people's eyes. Now, empathy is a quality of character that can change the world.